Hello students. Today I'll share the topic with you, that is the Egyptian civilization together with the Chinese civilization. Now here I'll just start the discussion with some of the previous topic of Mesopotamia as well as Indus Valley civilization. As we go with the different topics, I'll just compare the terms with that. Okay, some of the topics with that civilization so that it is clear in your mind. And I'll try the videos to be short so that you can see it at a particular time period, very short time period, and don't waste time. Okay, and do like my video because this gives me an inspiration to do the next video better. So today we'll study about the Egyptian civilization. We all know that it is a river civilization, so it is also built near the river, or it get established near the river, that was the Nile, and we usually say them as a gift of Nile. So during the period of Middle Kingdom, that is from 2000 to 750 BC, as well as 3000 to 2000 BC. It was in between this period. So these both are the important dates. You can go or study these both thoroughly. Then we say that the ancient Egypt was the civilization which was built in the northeast Africa, which is situated in the Nile Valley. Means if I see the map of this Nile, this particular Nile Valley, there what we see is that the rest of the part, this is the total desert, what we call today as the Sahara Desert. And at one direction, this river Nile flows. So near to the river, the civilization got established. And large part, and we all know that if it is near the river, it would have come with some kind of a climatic issues like flooding would have happened there. And if flooding is there, it usually accumulates or get deposited with the rich soil, which helps in the agriculture purposes or for the grain crops. Now, if we know that the river is in one direction, so for preserving the water, because the other side is totally desert. So what is done that the people there, they build canals. They establish canals, dikes, and reservoirs for the rest of the period of time whenever the flooding is there. They collect that particular water so that it can be used for their use. So they served as a national highway for water transport. This Nile River was also acting as a water transport. Now, the way you move to the further civilization, you can see the further development also happened. So in 18th century, it was overrun by the invader, this is called as Hyksos. ये थोड़ा सा important है, which was later on again regained by the Egyptian kings. But it can be in a short question that who overreigned or who overran this Egyptian civilization, that was by the Hyksos. Then the word pharaoh here. Usually what happens is that in Egyptian, the word which means the great house, the pharaoh was given the name as the king, or we can say the king was also known as the pharaoh. Here, this was about the Egyptian. Very you would have seen the various sculpture also regarding that. Will come in the next topic. Now, in the Egyptians, the society was clearly divided into four classes. Now, what were the four classes here? The four classes were of the pharaohs, what we call the pharaoh or the king, which is actually established the first class, or we can say the upper part of the society. Here, he and his family actually enjoys each and every what we say the facility. जैसे होता है ना घर का या राज्य का पूरा जो head होता है, which actually enjoys the whole facilities. So he was called as the pharaoh, was with the highest rank, and he had the absolute powers. Now, if they had the absolute powers, means his words would be the laws. No one can disobey him, sorry. And his family members also enjoyed the highest status. Means Pharaoh was the first or the highest rank in society. Then next was of the officials, the nobility, or the priestly class ones actually who also enjoys a comfortable life, but they were all next to the pharaohs. All the government officials, person belonging to the class, also lead a very comfortable life. They were actually the ones who were very close to the king. The low society were of the slaves. In between, farmers and craftsmen also uh, uh, placed or made their way as they lived in villages and had a normal life. Not very like before in Mesopotamia, what we read was they all enjoyed the comfortable life. Here, only the officials or the pharaoh enjoyed the comfortable life. Rest were the normal life, and the slaves were the lowest category one, where they have to do all the work of their whoever under which they work, as well as they were in a misery and poverty. Whoever the job they have been concerned to their masters, they has to work for them. See, this was the social status of the this Egyptian society. Then this Egyptian women also played, or they actually enjoyed the good status in the society. Means they inherit the property as they ascend their throne. Like Queen has, chief इसको ऐसे पढ़ सकते हैं had six foot, okay, had six foot. Also ascend the throne. Ascend the throne means like Queen Elizabeth hai. Now, if Queen Elizabeth with her own wish pass the throne to Prince Charles, अगर वो खुद अपना थ्रोन देना चाहते हैं या अपना जो राज्य है वो किसी और के समर्पण करना चाहते हैं, तो then only the Prince Charles will be able to and will be able to rule that particular. He will be the king. But if the queen doesn't want, so later on, what happens is the king, the son, we can say, the son has to withdraw his throne and pass it to his grandson. So it is the queen's power. You know, you can say that queen has the power to ascend the throne. Whenever the king dies, the queen can take over that particular charge. So that was the example of Queen Hatshepsut. So then, what were the occupations in the craft during that particular? We all know that we are reading again and again. Two important common occupations of that particular civilization was one was agriculture because they were near the rivers, as well as the second one was the domesticated animals. Means animals were very much used by them for their own purposes, for their hair. They were also used for the wars, for carrying out the chariots. Then birds were also being tamed over here, like dove and geese. And the other occupations, like the engineers and the mathematicians, what they do, the engineers, what they do, they have to dug the canals, dikes to store water. Means kind of a reservoir, जैसे बांध को बांध देते हैं ना पानी के लिए for storage. So this way the dikes were also formed. Vegetables or the irrigation was of barley, wheat, millets, cotton, fruits like apple, figs, and peaches were actually grown during that period. What were the crafts important here? Pottery from the starting here. Here important was the glassware during the Egyptian. You would have seen the paintings, the carvings on the ivory, which was actually very important during the Egyptian time. Then boat building was also there, jewelry, cloth making. Paper making was also developed at this time. A little more, other than the Chinese. So Chinese have actually developed the paper, but paper making still started in this or during this reign. ओके क्लियर हो गया ऑक्यूपेशन एंड क्राफ्ट्स का ज्यादा कुछ नहीं है बट लिटिल मोर अबाउट द हाउ एक्चुअली अदर थिंग्स केम इनटू लाइक स्पेशली अबाउट द crafts. Then about the trade and commerce, it was managed by whatever the trade and commerce, they were all managed by the highest rank, that was the pharaoh and his nobles. If they allow the other, then only the other persons were allowed to enter into that particular management system. Rest, it was all managed by the pharaohs and nobles. They exported the cloth, the glassware, the jewelries, and imported the gold, ivory, and other luxury items. Now, as the river was there, other side was the desert. So this river was actually act as a transport uh, or export or transport or do the trade to the different other countries. Donkey and camels were also used for the purpose on the land. Then what was the religion during time? Near about 2200 god and goddesses were worshipped there. Major thing over here now starts is the Re. Re was called as the son of God, which was the most important giver of the God. Like one important thing was here, who was called as the Re, or who, what was the name of the son of the God? That was the Re. And also worshipped the moon, floods, the same thing which were before. So they all worshipped the nature. So nature mein moon, floods are there, animals, so few of the animals. Each god had his own temple and priest, and even Pharaoh was treated as a god. Here, important was the Pharaoh was also treated as the god. And this page is clear where. Then we come to the next, that is they also believe the life after death, and they have a different thought about it. And their body and soul lived, that was why they preserved it. Means till Mesopotamia, Indus, we thought that they all believe that there is life after the death. But here they believe that body and soul both act as a what we say they are the don't they expect the dead body together with that particular man will come back again. So there they preserve the dead bodies. यहाँ पे एक बड़ा, and they use the particular chemicals, they have the knowledge about the chemicals also, so they preserve these, and these bodies, the dead bodies, were called as mummies. They've all seen this film also. So coming to the art and architecture and sculpture of this, during this time, there were different architecture as well as sculptural examples there. The pyramids were built, the sphinx were there, and the temples were there. Now, what was the pyramids? Pyramids were actually the Egyptians built pyramids, and these were the tombs of the royal families. They were you can say the palaces, the tombs of the royal families. Here we can see in the pyramid of Giza, the example of there, the pharaohs of Kufa and Khafre is also there. Walls are very much decorated. The paintings were there, which actually gave us the view about the ancient lifestyle of the Egyptian people. Then in Sphinx, what is the Sphinx? The Great Sphinx. Sphinx is the another important monument, which is in the Giza, that is in Cairo now. And the structure is of mythological animal. ये थोड़ा सा important. Here the structure of the mythological what? It is the head of man with the body of man. It is nearby 241, 65 feet high. You can see the particular picture here. I have taken this. See, this is the head of a man, and the body was of the lion. This is the pyramid, how it is made. It was during that time also the people know the 3D structure. So the engineers were very, we can say, experts. So the temples there, most of them are near the Nile River, and the statue of Pharaoh and of the Sphinx were actually in these temples. Three major temples, they were at Karnak, of Abu Simbel, and at Luxor. ये थोड़ा सा important है कि where were the three temples, or where named the three temples. So Karnak and Karnak, there Abu Simbel, and at Luxor. So these are the main examples of the art and architecture of this particular during the time. The pyramids, important way, you should know about the why the pyramids are formed. The Sphinx, what is the importance of this Sphinx, as well as the temples. Then coming to this is the photographs. Then what is actually the script? We read about in the Mesopotamian script also. What was the Mesopotamian? Mesopotamian was the cuneiform type script. Okay, ये ध्यान रखना, चाइनीज जो है ऊपर से नीचे की तरफ लिखे, फ्रॉम अप टू डाउन, and they all write during the Mesopotamian Indus, they all wrote on the clay tablets. Yes, and later on जब हम चाइनीज तक पहुंचेंगे बड़ा कुछ चेंज हुआ है. In the हम पहले इजिप्ट का कर देख लेते हैं. इजिप्ट, it was used by the priests, also called as sacred writing, and it was deciphered by, means it was interpreted by or studied by Champollion, who was French. First written on the stones and later on the paper, which were actually formed from the reeds and leaves of the tree, which is called as papyrus. Okay, this is the important one. What is the reed and the leaves of tree of the papyrus plant? This was the hieroglyphic script. Now, what is the contribution of the Egypt? अभी तक हमने ये पढ़ा कि contribution में what is the pyramids? It means pyramid, they are formed. The mathematician or the engineers have given the world the measurements of triangle and rectangle. Yes, इस तरह से 3D structure बना होगा. What they've done, they've given the measurement. when Sphinx is formed, they have given the idea of how the head of a man and a lion body has been developed. They also have given the decimal system of counting, and they, because they preserve the body as mummies, means they have the knowledge about the chemical to preserve the dead body. So one important time, the growth of knowledge, they developed the solar calendar rather than the lunar calendar. They developed the solar calendar and also believed in the solar calendar. So this was about the Egyptian civilization. ज़्यादा कुछ नहीं है हमें उसका. We will get to know about the art and sculpture. What is the main? The society part, which is actually important. Then little more, not very much of occupation is important here, but art and architecture of Egyptian is important about the pyramids, as well as the type of script, how it is and who deciphered this particular script. Then coming to the Chinese civilization, that is also known as the Hwang civilization by the name of the river itself. But here, the Chinese civilization was built near the three rivers. One north was the Hwang, Yangtze Kiang was in the center, and Sikiang in some. You can learn it like Hwang and Sikiang, north and south, and Yangtze Kiang in the center. It was developed during the SHANG. SHANG might be the kingdom or the emperor during that time. So it was developed the Shang dynasty. What is the now people and the society, how it has been divided? Here the people, the highest, we can say the class was of the top position were the emperor and the king. Still now you would have heard of, in news also about the Chinese, whoever the president is there, he plays a very important role. As well as the soldiers of that particular country played a very important role. People are afraid of their democratic system. They don't have a very freedom inside their own country. They have their own rules. So till now, it is also you can say they believe in this type of kingship. So emperor and king is the topmost, or it is the highest rank. Then later on, the nobles, the craftsmen, and the artisans cover the other classes. The lowest were the slaves. Same in the Egyptian also is that they also lead a miserable life. So this is the similar then of the Egyptians. King and emperor, the pharaoh was there in Egypt. Yes, the nobles and craftsmen other carry the other classes. Here important was the soldiers. Soldiers actually cover the very high street, and people are actually afraid of these soldiers as they have a high importance in the Chinese civilization. ये इसका थोड़ा सा important. Then what are the occupation crafts? Still today also we know that every smaller things are made up of made in China. Made in China means वहाँ की technology कितनी develop हुई होगी that everything from smaller toys to लेके like the highest thing the people are so much expert in or they have expertise in developing or creating the new things. Agriculture foremost occupation है because there existence of a low as a type of a soil which is very good or finest for irrigation. They also use manure, which is important here. So this way you can also learn they use manure also for increasing the fertility. Then in the of the soil, here wheat, rice, millets, and tea. Foremost is the tea. यहाँ पे नया tea आया है, which was actually also grown over during this time. Other occupation other than this were the carpentry, woodwork. We all see very creative things, the bone china ones, the way that they have do the paintings, the cabinet making of the timber work in the big palaces is done is in that time. Bronze casting, important the bronze casting means the metal, the way they cast the designs on that particular metal was also important during that time. It was example of a good advanced technology they used to use. Then was the silk production. We all know it was the center. China is the center of the silk production. Silk is used from the silkworms during the cocoon stage. The skin silk is actually when a thread is born during that time. So they exported the silk through silk routes. इसलिए उसका नाम हो गया silk routes from the Congo river. They developed paper. This was the first during this reign that they started to develop the paper. इसका occupation little more different है. Silk bronze casting हो गया, silk production हो गया, and develop the paper. Now coming to the architecture. The architecture we all know the name that is Great Wall of China, which is actually the one of the seven wonders of the world. it was built during the 3rd BC by an emperor, that is Hwang, built for the defensive strategy. Then stupa type temples called as pagodas. We have seen in Himachal also the pagoda type of temples over here. Then now Great Wall of China क्यों बना हुआ? The Great Wall of China was for the protection. It was throughout the northern plains, the plain area, and reached the Tibet. It runs over the desert, the mountains, and the slaves took near about 7 years to complete this particular structure. So little more, not very much, but make us say this much is okay that you have the knowledge about the when to develop and who did this. Great Wall of China, who developed this Great Wall of China. Then writing of the is from the up to down stroke. They write on the silk or the bamboo tree because silk was very important. The way they wore the cloth also, which was made of silk. Trade and commerce may with the they have the with their neighboring country, the trade they also we can see they exported tea, silk as well as paper, because these were the important things which actually were not available to the other civilization. What is the religious beliefs? Religious beliefs are the oldest form of the religion was near about 5,000. They have the burial activities which actually gave the evidence of this particular. They have the religious beliefs. They worship the nature of king as a, and the king is also known as the son of God. So this was the not very much known about the we can say about the religious beliefs or during the China time, but they all believe that the king of China is the son of heaven of God, which is called as SHANG. Now during that time, a very important person was Confucius, which actually was very famous or was a great philosopher and whose principles came across throughout the world. It was that humility towards all, सबको दया की नजर से देखो, and taught that do unto others as you wish to do unto means आप उस तरह से बिहेव करें जैसा आप दूसरों को चाहते हैं कि वो आपके लिए बिहेव करें, या आप जैसा करते हैं आप जैसा करते हैं आप चाहेंगे कि दूसरा भी आपके साथ वैसा. सो डू अनटू अदर्स, दूसरों के साथ वैसा ही करिए एज यू विश टू डू अनटू यू, जैसे आप चाहते हैं कि दूसरे भी आपके साथ करें. सो हम अच्छा ही करेंगे तो हमें अच्छा ही मिलेगा इन रिटर्न. सो एडमिशन ऑफ वन एरर इज ग्रेट वर्च्यू मीन्स अपनी गलती को समझना मानना was a great virtue. That one he who errs does not admit errs twice. One who doesn't, हम अभी बोलते हैं कि अपनी गलती हमेशा मान ली. अगर आप नहीं गलती करेंगे next time you will do more than once that particular mistake. So he also taught his followers to respect the elders as well as elders. So this is the important part. Who was Confucius and what was the teachings called as Confucianism, and what are the major principles of Confucius? Designing the science and technology, very good in astronomy. The Chinese civilization developed. They also developed or used solar and lunar eclipse. They predicted the eclipses. They invented seismograph. Seismograph, we all know, which actually gives the idea about the earthquakes. Mariner's compass was also developed during that time. They gave the banking and paper currency. Gunpowder was developed during that time. Means many new things was developed during the Chinese civilization. So this is important. Confusion is important. What is about the science and technology was developed during this time, and a little more about the its script, Hongo civilization, with the name of the rivers near which it was developed, then occupation craft. ये important है Chinese civilization. I think so. I have been a little more faster than the previous one so that you just get an idea, like a story, that these things are actually in that particular civilization. Thank you. Do like my video.